This isn't it. This isn't the game that you expect from the Pittsburgh Penguins when at home against a Carolina team missing both of their goaltenders. Unrelated, Nedeljkovic, pretty good game. Nedeljkovic came out today and played pretty well, and so did most of the Carolina Hurricanes. And yet, it didn't start out that way. Jari versus Nedeljkovic, so Penguins fans get their wish. Jari's in net instead of Murray. But when your defense is the problem, it doesn't matter who's in net. This is what I said yesterday when they lost. And again today. Early Canes power play, it turns into a 4-on-4 44 seconds later as the referee decides, I'm going to strangle all the life out of this game early. It felt that way anyways. Quiet start for both teams, probably in part because there was a lot of penalty killing going on and it would get pretty bad. Marleau would score from Sherry at 9:19. So that's Marleau's first goal as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's 1-0. But Geekie scores 33 seconds later from Gardner and Van Riemsdyk at 9:52. It's his first game in the National Hockey League. Keep that in mind. And if you're going, who in the name of Dakota Mermis is Geekie? I'm right there with you. So first game, 1 goal. Power play for the Penguins. I mean, I knew who the kid was. I didn't expect this. Power play for the Penguins, get used to that. The Canes get their second power play. The Penguins get another power play. It turns into a 5-on-3 for 22 seconds. Canes were really undisciplined in this game. Some of them may have been ticky-tack penalties, but when you know that's what they're calling, you've got to adjust. And so Malkin scores on the power play with 1 second left in the 5-on-3 from Schultz and Rust at 16:33. And honestly, it looked to me like coming out of that first period, Pittsburgh could run away with this because of the undisciplined play by the Carolina Hurricanes. But another narrative would start in the second. The Canes got close to one early. Goal line stand for Jari as Williams was rushing the goalie and doing his best to make sure Jari was knocked off of his game. I thought Williams had a very good game. Apparently so did the people who picked the Stars today. Shots were 4-0 Carolina 3.5 minutes in, so you're waiting for that pushback from Pittsburgh. I was waiting for that pushback. It would kind of show up. Another Penguins power play. Trocheck then boarded McCann. McCann made his exit from the game, and up until that point, it was 6 power plays for the Penguins, and mostly legit. So most of these calls you can look at and say, well, and probably shouldn't have done that, but here we are. Slavin, however, would score from Martinook and Geekie at 13:07, and I write on the board, how is this tied? And this was after Nedeljkovic denied Pettersson. Great shot by Marcus Pettersson, shot down by Nedeljkovic. I couldn't figure out how this was tied, because honestly, with all the power plays, Pittsburgh should have put this away. This shouldn't have been up for grabs, and yet Carolina came out and they played a strong start to the second. Their penalty kill was solid, and Pittsburgh couldn't really get anything going. They couldn't establish their game, and whether it was through overpassing, not getting enough passes through, whatever's going on at different parts of this game, Carolina played really well. The Canes then had a 2-on-1 that was stopped, and what was funny was I was watching the Pittsburgh feed, and they were talking about how Pittsburgh hadn't had the problem with basically being outmanned on chances against, and then that happened right after. So that was stopped. Then Carolina gets a power play. It turns into a 5-on-3 for 21 seconds after the 5-on-3 was done, but not before the other penalty was done. Gardner scores from Nachas and Niederreiter at 18:04. That made it 3-2 for Carolina. And I'm like, okay, what's happening? Because again, Pittsburgh was supposed to be turning a corner. Maybe it was just the fact it was Ottawa and Buffalo. Maybe it's fool's gold. Maybe that's what we're seeing today. Third period. The Canes, coming into today, 25-1 when leading after 2 periods. They're pretty good when leading after 2. That would continue. The giveaways through the first 2 periods in this game were 16-2 Penguins. That's not a number you want to be in your favor. The Pittsburgh defense is, I don't want to say a disaster, but it needs some work. And this is something Jim Rutherford all season has talked about, and yet it doesn't feel like Pittsburgh's any further ahead right now. Nedeljkovic, he held as the Penguins tried to make their push at the start of the period. And then at 8 minutes and 30 seconds, Williams scores from Fleury and Stahl. Nice pass by Stahl to Fleury. Fleury takes a shot from the point. Williams deflects it between the legs, right through the goaltender. and it's 4-2. And then Carolina nearly scored again, and I put on the board, Carolina nearly scores again. What's going on? Like, I again, with Pittsburgh, you're kind of waiting for this pushback. You're kind of waiting for this really strong push from a team that you know is pretty darn good. You're waiting for that chance from Zucker. You're waiting for that goal from Crosby. You're waiting for that big highlight reel moment. For instance, they wanted to talk about what a solid save Nedeljkovic had made on a play. And when they were doing the replay, again, this is Pittsburgh announcers, all they could talk about was how great Crosby looked on the play. And I thought, hey, that's about right. We're going to praise the other team's goaltender by talking about Sidney Crosby. Checks out. And again, that'll happen with any team of broadcasters in the league. I just always find it funny when that happens. Then Recchi led the Penguins in a huddle during a TV timeout. So he's got them all at the bench, like, all right, guys, this is what we got to do. We're not doing this right. This is going wrong. All right, whatever he said didn't work. Because right off the next face-off, Stahl, Williams, and at 15:02, it's 5-2. And that's where I did actually out loud, quite loudly, say, what? Because, again, Recchi's leading him in a huddle. You've got guys like Crosby, Malkin. This is the team. Letang. Things seem to be, coming together for Pittsburgh. They've got Jari in net. He's supposed to be the better goaltender. And they're down 5-2. And then a minute and 17 seconds later, Geekie gets his second goal of the game from Martinook and Fleury. So again, what in the name of Dakota Mermis was going on here today? It's a 6-2 victory for the Carolina Hurricanes. The Penguins get a late power play. All that did was make sure they go 1 for 7 today. Seven power plays. 6 of them in the first half of the game, and they score on 1, including that 5-on-3 goal. So they didn't score in a 5-on-4 situation, only in the 5-on-3. I don't know what to make of the Penguins right now. This is a team that looked like they had turned a corner about halfway through last week. And then they have that loss against Washington, which you can look at and say, yeah, but, Washington, no. I have a funny feeling that corner they've turned, not so much. Now, on the good news front for Carolina as well, with this victory, they now move into a playoff spot in the East. We'll see how long that lasts, but for right now, they're in a playoff spot in the East. So back-to-back wins can do that for you. Nedeljkovic makes 28 saves on 30 shots. He played very well. Jari saved 30 out of 36. I'm going to say the same thing I said about Matt Murray. I'm not putting this on the goaltender. This is about the defense. This is about turnovers. This is about lazy play in front of your own net. This is about a team that really looked like they had everything together, and now they don't. This team right now looks like whether they would play Philadelphia or Washington in the first round. I don't know. I don't like their chances based on how they've been playing in this game and in the last one either. 3 stars were Geekie, Williams, and Gardner. That's GWG, boys and girls, game-winning goal. So I like that, or game-winning geek. So that's another way to look at it as well. Let's see, the game-winning goal was from Gardner. So yeah, there you go. Gardner, the 3rd star. He's your game winner. Shots favored Carolina in the second and third. They were 10 each in the first, 14-10 in the second, 12-10 in the third. Final shots 36-30 in favor of the Carolina Hurricanes, who were the better team once they got that tying goal. Once they got that tying goal, that was kind of it. And Pittsburgh just didn't seem to have an answer. And when they pushed for that answer, Nedeljkovic said no. So very, very impressive game for the Carolina Hurricanes. This really bodes well for them and their drive to get into the playoffs. Bad news for the Islanders, bad news for Columbus, bad news for the Rangers in what happens here, as now Carolina gets that jump. They get 4 points in their last 2 games. And for Pittsburgh, they get no points in their last 2 games. They're pretty well clear of any kind of danger from beneath them in the standings, but they've really got to pick it up. This was a game they really kind of needed to win, and they didn't. So we'll see what happens from here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. As a Penguins fan, do you come out of today and go, it's an afternoon, it's a matinee, it's not a big deal? So you can look at this and go, matinee games, who cares? Or do you look at this and say, okay, this is troubling. You have the game against Washington, now the game against Carolina. These are divisional opponents. You need to win these games, and they've lost. So for Pittsburgh, we'll see how things go from here. And if you're a Carolina fan, you've got to feel a heck of a lot better about the team right now than you did 48 hours ago when I was saying not to panic too much. Because, again, I think Nedeljkovic is a pretty good goaltender. And I really thought when Carolina was losing, I didn't peg it on the goaltenders. Even though the stats would tell you it was probably a goaltending problem, I didn't think Forsberg or Nedeljkovic had been playing badly. So we'll see if Carolina can maintain this. Good day for them. Poor day for the Penguins. And we'll see whether or not this is just one of those one-offs. But remember, these teams play each other 3 more times in the next 3 weeks. So for Pittsburgh, they better figure Carolina out quickly, or they could be in some trouble. Let me know your thoughts as always. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Got 5 games left to go for the rest of the day. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a ton. I will talk to you again soon.